Right, quiet on set. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Let's Poddy podcast with your host, Benji Weatherly. It's the podcast where you learn absolutely nothing.
Let's Poddy with Benji Weatherly. We got Annie Graziano, and we have two incredible guests today. And called Danny Davis this morning. I was like, D, what is going to happen when I interview this guy? And he goes, man, I'll tell you right now, his dad drinks more Budweisers than me. The first thing he said. Yeah. And I was like, respect. And yeah, the history that we're going to hear of your family sounds like it's going to be incredible. I've been on your guys' land for that freaking friendly, the gathering. Oh my I went 1 year. You guys did it a bunch. I went the 1 year where Jake lit fireworks when we left in the morning. Remember that? Wow. Yeah, yep. So our guest today is Chris Waker, and one of the most amazing stories we're going to ever hear on this podcast, because I don't have guests that are this freaking amazing. So I can't wait to hear everything, but welcome to Let's Poddy.
Let's Poddy. This is awesome.
And we have your childhood, one of my good friends, and even closer to my heart, he's one of the Carpenter's best friends. And yeah, it's what you are going through, having George have you to talk to. And I called Adapt when you guys were there. No way. And I was like, yeah, I got my little brother George is coming in. And they're like, George Carpenter? And he's here right now with Chris. And I was like, all right, you topper. I was like, okay,
already
let's go.
On it.
Yeah, but I want to hear about so many things. There's no right way to start, because I don't want this always to be about interviews. Yeah. I want this just to be a conversation between people. But I mean, where could we start? Because I'd like to hear where you're, you were a pro snowboarder, so I'd like to hear the beginning of when you were a kid. You probably have brothers, sisters?
One sister, yep.
Okay,
one sister.
I can't wait to hear about your parents, because I heard your mom is supposedly the saint of all saints.
Yes, she is. Right? Yep.
And you are the oldest?
Bless her soul. Youngest, or 1 year.
Okay, so you guys are 1 year apart.
Yep, super tight.
What's growing up in southern Vermont, right?
Southern Vermont, yep. It's, spent my entire childhood in the outdoors. Yeah. My dad was always just very passionate about whatever I wanted to do. Like, I wanted to snowboard, I want to ride dirt bikes, got me on motorized vehicles before I could even walk. And he was a logger originally.
So he's a big guy?
Yeah, I mean, not big, yeah, average, whatever. But he had always had logging equipment around. So he put me on an excavator, bulldozers. I had built a dirt bike tracker on my yard.
That's what Danny was saying, that you're into motorcycles.
Yeah, dirt bikes, snowmobiles, you name it, I was on it. And yeah, my mom's a saint. She, doesn't drink, do anything. My dad, grew up always Budweiser in one hand, Marblite in the other, and just with the chainsaw, carrying around the chainsaw through the woods. And yeah, pretty amazing childhood. And yeah, he taught me how to weld snowboard rails. Once I got into snowboarding, he's like, all right, let's make some rails for the backyard. Let's get some construction lights so we can light up the whole valley and piss off all of our neighbors.
Is that piece of land I went to?
So no, that didn't come around until later, around 2000. That area, that ski area, was an abandoned ski area. It was part of Magic Mountain originally. Got abandoned in the 80s. That was kind of like the celebrity side. It was more of like the private. Timber Ridge was, where all like the secret spot was, but they abandoned it and ripped out all the lifts. My dad bought it super cheap in 2000 with his plumbing company, and I spent every summer just cutting down trees, clearing out, because it was all overgrown. So me and my buddies would just go out there and make little tree runs and just start building out. And then he bought a cheap snowcat from Stratton Mountain, and so we were just pushing up little things. It was the perfect, you've seen it, so it's just the most natural rolling terrains. Yeah. So you can just push up a little bit of snow, build up a little kicker, and we're just hucking ourselves and having the most amazing time. And then cut forward a couple years later when I was having a couple Budweisers. It was like the most perfect spot for us to party at. It was like this abandoned base lodge, all open, you can't really break anything. and we owned the access road, so the cops weren't allowed to come up there.
Oh no!
And so it was a great time, and
That's the American dream. That's what it is.
and that's how everything kind of came to fruition with the Friendly Gathering. I would have like these amazing parties, and Jay brought down George, and George came all the way from Stowe, 2 hours to come party at the spot, and that's how everyone kind of found out about Timber Ridge. And then once they did the Friendly Gathering out here originally, they were like, let's do it on Waker's property. And before that, we had a couple events too with like Rome, and we did the World Quarter Pipe Championships.
At that spot?
They brought it back at the spot.
Sick.
At Hooter, who carved out the original U.S. Open pipes with an excavator. He came and cut out the quarter pipe, and man, what parties those were. My dad,
Because you're a big pipe guy, huh?
big pipe guy. Yeah. So, I mean, I actually grew up, just like I said, riding rails in the backyard. And I grew up more of a slope guy. But then when I went to Strat Mountain School, that's kind of what it was. It was everyone, Danny Davis, Louis Vito, the Matronis. Everyone was kind of riding pipe at that time. It was the only thing that was in the Olympics. Mm-hmm. So once I went to to Strat Mountain School, I was like, all right, gotta focus on pipe. Like that's where it was. I did both though. I did, Grand Prix and Dew Tours, both slope and pipe. So it was, at that time, it was a little easier to focus in on both. But now it's like impossible to do that. You rarely see it.
So the people that don't snowboard out there, Stratton is where the U.S. Open started, that Burton created. And that's how far from where you grew up?
Yeah, 20 minutes. And the original Burton factory was in Londonderry, which is
Right.
15 minutes from my house. So
you grew up
much
in
culture.
you come from the mecca of snowboarding.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, my dad would bring me up to the U.S. Open and just watch the legends just flying over. And I'm like, what is this? People throwing beer cans and snowballs across the pipe.
Does it blow your mind how different the pipes are from the beginning to now? Like when you see the old Jeff Brushy and those guys, and it's like 4 feet mush, and now it's 30 feet, right? Or
Yeah.
like 30-foot walls. I mean,
20-foot, 22-foot pipe dragons now. So
it's insane.
insane. And the amount of speed. I remember dropping into my first 22-foot pipe because I grew up on a 16-foot pipe, and then it was 18-foot was a super pipe.
Yeah.
And then it jumped up to the 22. And I remember it was the U.S. Open the first time they had the 22 at a competition. And you're dropping in. You're like, oh going. And then you just like, you think you're hauling ass. And then you just do like a 2-foot air. You're like, what is happening?
You just
right
go
now?
up forever.
Yeah. But it was sweet because it allowed for a lot more margin of error, a lot more transition to land on. It's like, surfing when you, ride
Bigger
a little
canvas.
bigger canvas and stuff. And, but yeah, and then, from when I started, it was like going to Grand Prix and the World Cups where it was like back-to-back 900s and, throw a couple 1080s in there and you're winning.
On this podcast, we love supporting quality products and awesome people. That's why we're so stoked to partner with Dark Arts Surfboards and their lineup of shapers. Dark Arts boards are faster, stronger, lighter, and ready for wherever you decide to paddle out. And these carbon fiber boards aren't just for high-performance surfers. With shaping collaborations from Tomo, Paizel, JT, T. Patterson, Album, Rusty, DHD, and more, there's a Dark Arts board for everyone. Head to their site, darkartsurf.com, to check out their full lineup of surfboards.
Is that
And-
Ross Powers time?
Yeah. Ross and Danny Cass.
Danny Cass. That's the one. Danny Cass. That kid dominated for a bit. I remember.
Yeah.
He was really good.
Yeah, so I went to, I was watching those guys rip, and that was kind of the era. And then when I was kind of transitioning out of competing, that was when the time when double corks were just going off. And but then also a lot of injuries, which kind of scared the crap out of me. It was, Kevin Pierce.
Yeah, because Kev's your age, right? Exactly.
Yeah, pretty much. And Kevin got his TBI learning the double cork, and Luke Matrani broke his neck.
That's right.
Luckily not a spinal cord injury like myself, but
Where did he break? In his upper
it was
neck?
it was I think up in the C collar area. So yeah, luckily he skied out of that one, but
But he doesn't snowboard that much anymore, right?
No,
Not
yeah.
as much, right?
yeah, he just had a kid.
It's just such a little nugget of love.
Little
It's so
nugget.
good.
Yeah.
But so we're 35? How old are you?
35, yeah.
Phew.
Yep, good guess.
That's what I'm not David Blaine, but I know him.
Yeah.
That's cool. So and Danny Davis went to high school with you.
Yeah,
Is that
so
right?
he was a year older.
Imagine Danny Davis in high school. Just for a second, think, and then go, "Oh, was it fun or what?"
Dude,
Being around that
so
dude.
fun.
It's like
The
Dazed and
energy.
Confused, the movie, but all day, every day.
Yeah,
it's so. He's him and Luke. So I don't want to derail the story. You're now. This is when you're watching these events at Stratton. You're a little kid, right?
Yeah.
And then when did you start competing?
Right around, I don't even know, 12 maybe.
And your dad's psyche, and he's like, right
Kind
behind
of.
you, like,
I
let's
mean,
go, let's do this.
Yeah, he wasn't those like, I don't know, you see some of the dads now that are kind of aggro. He was more of like,
there.
what are you doing? You having fun? Sweet,
Has
go
a
for
beer.
it. Yeah,
Let's
yeah.
go.
Send it. And
Send it.
Yeah. So it was definitely a super casual, like no pressure at all and just having fun. And that's, I think what made me love the sport is all me, right?
You're right.
It was all the passion for the sport that kind of drove it. But yeah, started off doing USASA, did that whole scene with the Nationals, which is just like the regional series.
Is Danny doing that at that
Yeah,
time, or is he
yeah.
kind of a late bloomer?
Well, he was kind of an early bloomer. Danny was already doing the Grand Prix, and so I was just like, damn, I want to get there. Right. I was like such a good like role model and stuff, and all those cats were amazing to have on board.
Were you part of the Friends?
I mean, I knew them, but I wasn't like in that clique per se. I was living in Colorado. All those guys were in Mammoth and stuff like that, but really good friends with them. Grew up.
Yeah. You're one of the Friends with no eye. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
I was too. I had a sticker, everything.
Yeah.
That's cool. So did your sis get involved in snowboarding, or did she do her own thing?
A little bit. She was into, field hockey and soccer and dance team and all that. But, it was amazing having an older sister. She'd bring home all of her girlfriends and be like, hey, can I hang out with you guys? Yeah. Like,
1 year older.
But yeah, she would snowboard for fun and stuff and hang out, which was cool. She was always around with the crew. We'd always mix mingle friends and hang out. So we were tight. It was really cool.
Well, I'm going to just throw the best thing about a podcast is just like hanging out. And that's what we're doing, especially if it's our own living room. We have one of his best friends that he grew up with and one of our best friends, Jay Sailing. So the sailing, now I really hate you. Like this name, dude. You're already a yacht club guy that golfs better than me. I'm over all of it.
So I was thinking about this earlier this morning. I was
Get closer a little bit.
how do we how did we actually become friends, and what's that story?
And what age is this?
So I feel like it was probably 15, 16. And so I began my life in New York. Mm-hmm. That's met the Carpenters, started to get exposed to this amazing sport of snowboarding. And so I was like, all right, well, as a family, we need to kind of get closer to this. And so we end up moving up to Vermont. And I just started high school. And I was, meeting some kids. I was like, all right, where can we skate? What can we do? And one of our best friends, Christian Connors, I go to school with him every day. And he's like, yo, so this kid has a mini ramp at his house. We got to go. You got to meet him. He's the man. And it's called Waker's Acres. And so he mentioned that he's got a dirt bike track there, but he's also got a mini ramp. And we were skating it a bunch and never really got to meet him until one day he comes down on a little 50cc dirt bike. He's probably got a Budweiser and a doobie in a hand. And he's like, yeah, let's skate, man. What's your name? And it's kind of how we met and just started cruising. You're so young then that every day you're just what can we get up to? Yeah. What can we do?
That's
and
nice.
we lived close enough to where I could take a 4-wheeler from my house, stop at Christian's house, who's our buddy, and then go over to Waker's and just hang out. Skate. I didn't really do dirt biking. It's not my thing, but I watched them. Got to meet Tyler Eamon, who's a really good friend of ours too. And man, just such a cool life to get exposed to, adrenaline junkie to the max.
I mean, coming from New York too, I love hearing this because I knew you were from Long Island kind of, but I now hearing this, it makes way more sense. You're so much more New York than Vermont.
Yeah.
But
I was like, dude,
you are.
Dude, so I'm a city slicker.
Yeah.
And then I get
where'd you
here
grow
and
up in New
there's,
York? Before we go any further, was that out by Rockaway or was it?
I was born in the city.
Born in the city. So
Yeah.
you're a city bumpkin.
Yeah.
And you go out to hang out with these guys and you're like, this is the coolest shit ever.
Yeah, and they're riding dirt bikes, going into trails, going up into camp areas, just camping out, lighting shit on fire. And I'm like, man, this is like, so I just left New York still love New York.
Right.
But the lifestyle kind of left that in the dust, and I was like, I'm hanging out with these guys.
Yes, you are.
Yeah.
That's Waker Acres.
Wakers Acres.
That's
Yeah.
fucking cool.
Wakers Acres. He had like.
And how do you have that? Is that the road where you got? Oh, that's for the resort thing.
Yeah,
but is there a
resort.
road up to your house too that's like blocked
It's
off?
funny enough, it's actually called Wide Awake Road, and they did not name that after us. And my parents moved there, and it was originally called Wide Awake Road, which is pretty crazy. But
And man, like his family's so cool too. Like that mini ramp, anyone from like anywhere in Vermont, if you could get there, you could go skate it.
That's so
And
cool.
people were just so cool. Like it was kind of became this legendary like spot because skate parks at that time in Vermont kind of sucked. And so you were like trying to find a cool spot to skate, and like you could meet so many cool people.
Kids would travel for hours.
Kids would come from like northern
New York?
Vermont to come skate his ramp, and it was just such a cool kind of like breeding ground of like friendships and also really good skating. Like there's some good skaters that came through.
And even when I like moved out of Vermont, my dad would always be down at the ramp, just shooting the shit with people, hanging out, and they were like, "You mind if we skate?" Like, no, anytime. Like, just loves people.
like the lifestyle, man. Like it's like amazing. Yeah.
But yeah, Jay actually got me. Was the one who kind of pushed me into surfing a lot. I mean, I went a few times before I met him. But we lived like 3.5 hours from the beach.
New Hampshire, right?
Yeah, the wall in New Hampshire.
Yeah, and
cold.
So we would wake up at like 5 a.m, get there at 9. We would surf till noon, grab a burrito, surf till like 6, 7 o'clock at night.
That's so cool.
And then just, white knuckling it home, gripping it, just trying to survive the drive home after such a beat day of surfing.
Yeah, like the handful of days that the East Coast gets good every year. We were on it.
Yeah, and then the hurricane swell would come in, just scare the crap out of me. I remember going out with Kevin Pierce's brother, Adam. It was during like one of the hurricanes, and we're like, dude, it's going to be like 12 to 15. Let's send it. I had no business being out there. And I remember he just like cut his foot in a rock, and before we even got in the water, he was just like bleeding, and we're like, oh, we got sucked under like twice, and we're like, yep, let's head to the beach. We're good. We're good.
Shit goes sideways so quick in surfing. It's so funny.
Humbles you so fast. It's amazing.
It's like having an avalanche happen no matter what.
Yeah.
You're like, let's go snowboarding. It's going to be an avalanche. It's going to be right on my face. You're like, all right, let's go. So what brought you to San Diego? Just the beach, the being around such warm, killer weather?
Yeah, the warm weather and adapt, actually. So, yeah, my injury happened 3 years ago. And, just freak accident. Heading out of the park, I was actually training with my athletes. He's on the U.S. team now, Jake Canner. Shout out, Jake. And
Jake is that little guy?
Yeah, Jake's
I
the little
love
guy.
him. I just went to Switzerland on the Burton trip with him. He's a little, I call him little Mark McMorris. He was like, I got a photo of him, a little nugget. He's a little nugget. And he rips at skating.
Rips at skating. Insane skating.
Okay, sorry to interrupt, but I love Jake.
No.
Jake's such a little nugget.
He's, such a good human. And, just cruising out of the park. It was Christmas Eve. He was getting ready for a World Cup in a couple of weeks, and we were like, let's go take some laps. And we were lapping all day, headed out of the park, bombing down to the lift, went to go do like a little just high-speed maneuver, just super casual, trying to be all steezy, and then, have my hands out behind me and just let my board down, caught my toes, drove my neck right into the ground, couldn't get my hands out in front of me, and, I just broke my neck and was instantly paralyzed from pretty much the chest down. So I'm technically a quadriplegic. My arms move, but I have lost my finger dexterity, and I have loss of some tricep function, and my chest muscles, core, all that. But I do have some sensation stuff. My spinal cord didn't completely sever, which is what they call an incomplete injury. So I have some sensation, and which was really good at the time to hear. They were like, you're an incomplete injury. You could regain some strength and movement and mobility. And so when I heard that in the hospital, I'm like, all right, I'm walking out of here. Let's send it. And my buddy, good friend, Tyler Emond, another snowboarder, and he moved out to Colorado with me and lived with me in the hospital. And
you went to Craig's, right?
Yeah, I went to Craig's, which is where George went. Yep. So just amazing having that community around me. It shifted. It put my recovery in just the most amazing. We were just laughing, and I'd poop my pants, and we would just be laughing and crying and whatever, just making the most fun out of like some dark moments where I could have easily gone the other way, you know. So great to have that community and the snowboard community and my whole community just rallying behind me. I had an athlete start GoFundMe's and just people sending care packages left and right. Another bunch of crew of athletes that I coached, they did kind of like the other direction, not competitive side, but filming. And they started on their own film crew. And so they were sending me like care packages, and they just pretty much sell hoodies and stuff to fund their snowboard trips. So they sent me a bunch of stuff, and shout out Dustbox and all that whole crew. But yeah, so definitely a gnarly time.
Yeah, the Adapt used to be called Project Walk. One of my best, I've had 4 best friends paralyzed from surfing.
Wow.
Actually, Barney Miller wasn't paralyzed surfing. It was a car accident. But he would go there, and, you know, I went to his wedding in Australia, and his goal was to walk, have a dance with his wife, and he ended up getting to do it because of Project Walk.
No way.
You know, he's still going through it. It's not like he's healed or anything, but I felt your muscles when I hugged you, and it looks like you're putting in the work.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot of work, and I watched him do it, and I take him surfing. I mean, when he called me to go surf, I'd drop everything no matter what, right? And we've done the U.S. Open together. We've done a bunch of surf contests. We did Malibu, and Mick Fanning's his best friend too. So when we go to Australia, we push him in waves at Gold Coast, and he's the most inspiring person. So when I heard George was coming here to visit me, first thing I thought was Project Walk, because I want him back here. I want him back in his house. I want him. I mean, now that he has you here, I mean, this is the place for George, you know, and I'm hoping that Adapt place, it seems like it's better maybe now, right?
Yeah.
It's new partnerships and all this stuff, but I saw your video on Instagram today, and the place looks insane. And I mean, that work you guys put in really does show. I mean, when Barney was getting married and he was standing with her, it was I got chicken skin. They did a Willy Wonka theme. So they had Chocolate Factory, and they sang that song, you know, the most beautiful song in that movie. And they're holding each other dancing, and he's standing. It literally, like, it's giving me so much chill. He's such an inspiring person. So the Adapt has got to be just such a life-saving, you know, mental capacity people that are there to help. But just working out and getting your blood going and stuff must feel really good.
For sure. I mean, I get more sore if I don't move, and if my body just seizes up. And
Right.
But yeah, I just pretty much my whole mindset was every little fiber, every little muscle that does work, I'm gonna get that as strong as I possibly can. And yeah, it's helped me a lot. There's a lot of people with my level of injury that aren't, you know, in a manual wheelchair. They have a power chair,
Right.
something like that. And yeah, it's just you know, just put in hard work, and the community there too is amazing. I found out about the surfing around here. There's a organization.
I got the board. I got everything.
Yeah.
And I've been doing it for 20 years. Jesse Ballauer
so
is one
down.
of my best friends. You've heard of him, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he was at the surf ranch with us the other day.
No
he was
way.
the group in front of us, so we watched him surf, and then we got to go to the next sesh. But
I'm
yeah,
actually going to Hawaii in a couple of weeks to compete in my first amateur.
Oh, you can
or,
do? Is it
adaptive
Dukes? Is it the Dukes Festival?
No, it's
I do that one with those guys too.
ASI or whatever.
But is it in at Queens?
Yeah,
Is it-
Queens.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, maybe
it's
it is.
It's a tournament I do all the time.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. Access, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
That's it. I work with them, and I do that tournament, and that's where I put Barney Miller won it. It's insane. You're gonna have so much fun. Queens is such a fun wave.
Yeah.
It's in Waikiki. So you're just gonna, and everyone's so fun and friendly, and it's killer. You're gonna.
I just
play
heard warm
lunch.
water, and I was like, yeah.
It's
let's go.
it's the nicest place. It's Waikiki, man. You're gonna be like having mimosas on the beach. It's insane. You're gonna have the best time ever.
Stoked.
And the people that take the Access crew, you're gonna meet them. They're so freaking nice and sweet, and it's kind of just like Adapt. They're just as cool.
Yeah. I mean, there's a crew that goes out the last Sunday of every month here. Waves for All. Anyone with a
Hit me up
disability.
anytime. I'll take you surfing.
Sick.
I don't surf anymore, but I'll take you surfing every day.
You don't surf anymore.
I have a torn ankle. I just went to the ranch. It hurts so bad to surf. I'm an old fat piece of stuff. But let's talk about one thing. I want Jay to tell me a story that's ridiculous right now. Like what's the most trouble you two got in your adolescence?
I mean, you want to go or me? I would say, I mean, look, he mentioned that when there was a Wakers Lodge party, people dropped everything they were doing, like in all parts of Vermont. I mean, George
is this where
would
the
come
skate ramp
down-
is, Lodge?
That's where the gathering was. The Bernie
Okay,
gathering.
what is there a dwelling there?
Well, just that
There's
lodge.
like a lodge.
That
There's
big-
Oh,
like,
I never saw the lodge.
Yeah.
Okay, so
yeah.
there is a dwelling.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
when you
big.
guys just hang out there and girls.
Dude, yeah. Well, I mean, like
eggs.
he could let the word out at like 10 p.m. that there was going to be a party, and by midnight it was like an absolute like Vermont style rage, fireworks
And-
and all the crazy shit. But I mean, I don't know, probably like sneaking away from some cops on some like mountain parties. But
Those were
like
some
it's
fun
Vermont,
times,
and, like
yeah.
you got to do. It's like a rite of passage to like get to do some. Of
We
that
were
stuff.
always partying out in the woods. That was like the thing to do. And yeah, we would just be, always running. I remember running away from cops almost every weekend. And yeah, then we were just
Like, who's gonna drive tonight?
yeah. And then just mingling, finding each other in the woods. And then you're like, all right, like, got any chicks around? Let's make out. Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
That's so fun. Yeah. That's such a fun childhood. It's like the North Shore where I grew up. It was like you get a truck, pull it in, flip the tailgate down, and put a bunch of beer in the back, and then that's the party. You're at the beach. At night, though, because it was dangerous at night if you're a little kid. You know? Your friend would throw up. You're like, oh, dude, we should go home, you guys. You know, it's like he had 6 beers. You know? That's so fun.
Yeah, I was definitely blessed that we didn't have, like, my parents would, I mean, luckily it's probably way past that time for them to get in trouble now, but they would they would
It ran out.
yeah, right? Isn't that like statute of limitations or something? Yeah.
Oh my God, it's so funny because your mom is such a saint. Okay, let's hear what she did wrong.
Well,
Mom.
So yeah, we would be partying, raging. It'd be like probably 1 a.m., 12, and my parents would just show up and just check up on things. And my friends would just be like, yo, your parents are here. I'm like, yeah, I know. Like, yeah, it's chill.
Dad's got more beer for us.
Yeah. And then like 10 minutes later, like, yo, your dad's smoking cigarettes inside. Can I smoke a cigarette inside? I'm like, okay, yeah, sure, whatever. Dude. Like just so much fun. Yeah.
That's the coolest
I feel
parents
like,
ever.
Yeah, for sure. And I feel like that helped me a lot too, is just like, I've had friends where you had to like hide it from your parents.
Yeah.
And they're like almost the ones that get the most, messed up, in trouble. My parents were like, we don't care what you're doing. Just tell us where you are and you're not going to drive home.
Right.
And I think that helped my childhood out so much, just being like, let's just provide a safe place for our kids to hang out. And yeah, just.
And what's your sister doing? She's a year older. What's she doing when you guys are all having these parties? She's like, you guys are so young and stupid. Like, or did she hang out? She's one of the girls.
She would chill, but funny story, she actually got in trouble like 8th grade going into freshman year. She got in trouble. They were at the rec center and they had a bottle of vodka. We were partying the night before, or like kind of partying. We were like, 12, 13 years old, whatever. They had a bottle of vodka. We were making like slushies and stuff. And they go to the rec center the day before the rest of it. And the cops called on them. Then, my dad got called and he's like, Melissa, I just heard Melissa's drunk. She called my mom, obviously. And she picked her up and she went to the convenience store, was feeding her crackers and all this, trying to sober her up. And so my dad's like, get Melissa up here right now. Cops are here. She told my dad, was like, yeah, some guy gave us a bottle. And he's like, get in the truck. We're going to find this guy. They go downtown, like looking for, she's bawling her eyes out. And then she told him like, sorry, Dad. Like, no, we had like liquor or whatever. But the cops were at my house. And so
there was no guy.
No guy. No guy. And so I'm up in my room, like shitting bricks. I'm like, oh my gosh, they're going to come and arrest me. They found out that I'm drinking the night before. And like, I'm freaking out. But she ended up stopping drinking for a while, like a couple of years. That was like, but she would come and hang out with us and party. And we had like, her birthday party at the lodge too, at the ski area and all that. So yeah, we were super close for sure.
God, that's so fun. What about, did your dad have a resort too? Like, or is that the resort? I heard he had like, okay, so that's the spot that he on. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then what was the name of the mountain? It's Stratton, where you guys grew up.
Yeah.
The resort. Okay.
Yeah, Bromley is where I kind of learned how to snowboard, which is a little tiny, it's called the Family Mountain, that's close by.
Yeah.
But then, Stratton Mountain School, Stratton, Killington, Okemo, Mount Snow is all right there. So many really cool resorts.
Were you on Burton boards when you were young?
Yeah, Burton boards for a while. I was getting flow through them, and Burton head to toe is awesome. They made goggles,
so good.
Boots, board bindings.
I just got a new
outerwear.
setup, and I'm like embarrassed. Like it's too good. Like it's so light. I got a 70. It's insane.
No
it's
way.
like a longboard. I'm like, I'm going by people going so fast, and I'm sorry. Like when you're traversing,
Yeah.
I'm like hands behind my head like this, and other guys are walking. I'm like later, but just the fact that Annie always comes up with the best questions. I can't wait to hear this one because she has a perspective always that I don't have. She actually thinks. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm just really curious. Like, I love how much effort you're putting in your mindset with where you're at now. When you're doing your strength training, like, what does that look like? Like, what kind of circuits do they have you going through?
So what's amazing about Adapt is they're, it's all out of pocket, but because of that, they're not confined by the restrictions of insurance. So they'll get you doing whatever you want to do. If you want to go work on car transfers, you want to go do some standing stuff. What's amazing, they strap our legs to theirs and they get me standing every day. And so even though I have no core strength, they're getting me standing weight bearing on my bones, which is really good for bone density, circulation. So we'll do a lot of like standing. We'll do like battle ropes while I'm standing. And it's amazing to work on like breath work too. You have no idea how much your breath and your diaphragm helps you balance. And I've been able to become so much more stable and just anything I want to work on there. It's great. I'm like, yeah, I want to work on getting up off the floor, and we'll just get on the floor, try and get back up in my chair, try and figure out little tips and tricks, and yeah, just stuff like that.
That's awesome. What's been the best progress you've seen from doing all that?
Yeah, probably independence has been my like biggest, or that's like, I guess my biggest goal is trying to become as independent as I can. Mm-hmm. I still have a lot of help throughout my ADLs, my, daily living stuff, but that's like my biggest goal. But just, it's hard with the spinal cord injury because you see so much progress those first 3 to 6 months, and then it kind of like tapers off. It's not as linear. It's not like straight up, because I started from nothing. I could barely move my arms. I had just a little bit of bicep strength. So, when you're in a hospital, you see that you're like, yeah, I'm recovered. I'm doing great. Mm-hmm. And then you get out and you're like, damn, I'm just not recovered. Like what's going on? But then I think strength training helps me see those little victories, being like, all right, I upped my weight this week, or, you'll look back at a couple months ago and be like, whoa, I wasn't transferring like that. I just got out of my buddy's car in and out without I usually have a slide board. It's like a skateboard deck that you put underneath your butt and you slide in and out. But I ditched that the other day and just hopped in and out of, he has the El Camino. So it's like a little bit lower to the ground, but it was like sick. I'm like, damn, this is amazing. So it's like, you have to really kind of just appreciate and kind of change your perspective a little bit. And it's hard sometimes to appreciate those victories, but once you look back, and that's what's great about like social media and stuff, posting stuff from right when I go to the hospital. It's cool to look back and be like, damn, I've come a long way, and it's still not done. I still see progress.
Getting that blood going to your brain too is so much more important for your mental health.
Yeah, and
that's
just like
so
surfing too, dude. It's been since October.
In the water, huh?
It's been since October since I've been in the water. It's been a little chilly this winter, so I'm a little chicken, and I don't acclimate to the weather that well. Like once I get cold, I'm freezing for hours, right. And I don't sweat. So I'm higher level injuries, we lose the ability to sweat, which is crazy. Right. So yeah, when it's like I was out at Stagecoach last year, it was 105 degrees.
And you're like wearing a sweater.
I'm pouring water on myself to try and to cool myself down since I don't sweat.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, because sweat cools you down.
Yeah.
Oh,
what's
shit.
the science?
I was thinking it wouldn't be hot, but it was the opposite.
Some nerve. I don't know what nerve it is, but like
glands, right?
Yeah, some nervous part of the nervous system gets cut off. So
that's crazy.
It's a trip. Yeah,
it must be good though to be able to talk to George about what you're going through, so he knows what it's up. Because I mean, I know when I talk to him, it's the slow progresses that get annoying. But if you're not around, I see him getting a little bit, just little bits. But I mean, I love having you with him. It made just my heart warm because I mean, how could I? Even though I've been around it so much, you can't relate unless you're going through it, And
I think that's such a blessing for me. As much as it sucks to get injured, I feel like it's a blessing to be able to give those people that, I don't know, someone to talk to, and someone that knows what you're going through. It's like no one knows what it's like to stick a tube up your, to catheterize, stick a tube up your penis to pee, and our morning routines are totally different, and nerve pain and muscle spasticity and so much stuff we have to go through. You can try and be there for someone, but it's so nice to have someone that knows exactly what you're going through. And it's crazy to have,
especially because you guys are both such big snowboarders too.
Yeah,
like you have so much in common.
And dude, he's been.
Were you guys boys before too? Like,
yeah.
Obviously,
he's been crushing it too. He's gone back on snow 10 times.
I know.
At least 10 times.
We haven't talked about that. Tell me about this sit skiing shit, because I saw him do the box the other day, and I'm like, really? First time? Like, let's go.
Yeah.
That's such a Jake thing. That's why I'm so, I respect that family so much, is the determination and the, no pity party with him. And Jake has been through more than any human ever, and he never complained. I always say that to people when I say how much I love Jake. I always say he never complained. This is a man that could have complained every fucking day.
Yeah.
And he would never complain. He'd get up and do the work. And now seeing Georgie do it, and George is he's probably the most loving creature to ever live. So to see him going through it's been heartbreaking. But at the same time, I think his purpose now is something bigger. And he's the only person that actually, I believe, could handle that.
Yeah. 100%. And it just goes to show, it goes to show who he is as a person, right? Just like getting back after it and like, no, I'm not just going to try it once. I'm going to keep going.
So tell me about with this. You've been doing sit skiing for a while?
Not a while. I've only done it twice. I did it once, first time last winter. And then I just was in Breckenridge a couple weeks ago. So, which is where he's been going too. But it's a little harder for me. I need a little bit more assistance, but it's so good to see Georgie just like, I'm just going to send it. Like
that guy was trying to follow him in the beginning, that one clip, and he took off, and the guy was supposed to be with him, and he couldn't catch him because George was like, fuck, I'm out of here. And he was flying on his first run. I was like, dude, such a carpenter.
Yeah, no, it was scary. It was terrifying the first day I did it. I was like, my goal was to get it back on snow, no expectations. And it was so awkward getting on the lift. I was like sitting up so high. Some of the bars you can't put down. And I had a terrifying, I had nightmares about falling off chairlifts. So I'm just like afraid of heights. If I'm not flying through the air, I'm terrified of heights. So I was just like, get me off of this thing. Am I strapped in? You got me? I don't know. Like maybe just find me at the bar. I'm good. But I did like 3 days, and then I was like, all right, I can do this. I can see myself progressing at this. And it's fun. It's amazing to just get back in the mountains, because as much as I love, SoCal and being by the beach, the mountains is where I spent my whole life, so it was a big part of me, and it's definitely an emotional time getting back out there, but I love it. I love the mountains and getting away from people. Yeah. It's great.
Yeah. No. And you live in a big populated area.
Yeah. A big populated area now.
It's tough.
And I'm sure George kind of felt that too when he got back on the hill. It's just something that's we're born with, and it's just amazing that this technology exists that can get us back out there too, and the people and these organizations, and it's been
sounds
great.
Like that one in Denver, the City Mountain City Center. What was the one that they have?
Oh, Ruby Hill.
No, not Ruby Hill. Oh. The mountain that takes a train that goes up there. It's like the main mountain, City Mountain or something. Oh, I'm so embarrassed. Sorry. But that's where George went up and did sit skiing for the first time.
Oh,
and they
Winter
had
Park.
Winter Park.
Sorry.
Park. Yeah, it was the most simple name is what I was thinking. Like Winter
yeah.
Park, but it takes from the city, you can take a train to it, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, I heard that. And I heard that was a really good one for sit skiing. That mountain was really fun and like good workers, and they're super sweet. That's what Georgie was saying.
Yeah, huge. Like you go in there and they have so many rigs set up.
Yeah.
So they're just like, what level injury are you? What are your goals? And they'll pick out all these rigs and they'll fit you. And
that's super cool.
Crew.
Shout out to that mountain.
Yeah, NSCD. Let's go.
And Ruby Hill. I went there too.
Yeah,
I rode down that slalom thing and fell on my hip. That didn't hurt. It hurt so bad. I get there and they're like, "You're in a contest tomorrow." I was like, "Ah!" But it was like this little slalom thing. But yeah, I mean, there's so many more questions that this little human can always come up with.
Yeah, I mean, and then so backtracking a little bit, I know you spent a good amount of time coaching the guys that are now.
Yeah, we even talked about his coaching.
Guys. So I mean, just how was that? Like, what was your coaching strategy? Like, how is it seeing that these guys that you coached, their kids, like, now at the top of their game and like in the Olympics?
Yeah. So I started coaching. I was transitioning out of competitive snowboarding, and my old coach from Stratton Mountain School we actually started a program in Breckenridge together. Shout out Ian Kirk. And it was amazing just sharing that passion with these kids. And we kind of differed from a lot of the other organizations where I had a camera with me at all times. I was taking photos, taking videos, and my goal was just to promote these athletes and give them the tools to kind of build a career out of it and promote themselves. We didn't have social media, when we were growing up. So I was like, let's just get you some content and have fun and just have a good environment and community for these athletes to succeed. And Luke Winkleman, who you might be talking to later today, and he was part of that crew. He's from North Carolina.
North Carolina.
Yeah. So just an amazing group of athletes, and it was cool to see. There were so many different disciplines, like surfing, right? There's the competitive side, there's the filming side. And it was cool to see these athletes just kind of be like, this is my avenue. This is my avenue. And we never were like, you have to do competitions. And it was a little hard to convince the parents to be like, hey, your kid just wants to go film, right? Yeah. When they're like, no, my kid's going to be in the Olympics. But it was cool to, when we had these kids be like, we want to go and hit handrails today. We're like, all right, let's set up a plan, get some filmers together. We'll go out and set it up. I brought kids into the backcountry, brought them to and did some Avi safety courses, like Avi 1s, and just got them aware so that when they were, with their sponsors and they got out in the backcountry, they weren't just like, what does this beacon thing do? What's this, what's this signal thing? And it was really, really fun. And just blessed to be able to work with so many amazing kids.
You still go to the events and check in on what's going on? Have you been around that lately?
Not really around the events too much. I went to nationals last year and did a little public speaking event out there. I've been sharing my story for the past year and a half and just trying to inspire and share my story. So that's been super fun, but just kind of stayed in contact with them. And I love the snowboard community. I love, just staying connected with them because it's brought me so much joy and happiness throughout my life. So coaching's been a huge part of what I do. And I feel like it's still a part of my life. I love connecting with people who are previously injured and trying to mentor people. And even though I'm pretty fresh at it, I've learned a lot in this short amount of time.
You really have. I can't believe it's only been 3 years.
Yeah.
I mean, you have the mindset of somebody that's been dealing with it for so long. You're very powerful. I think it's going to be fun to see you back out at the pipe contest, though, and see now what is the pipe 500 feet now? I mean, what the hell is happening in your sport? It's like those guys that do the motorcycles and flip and stuff. It's like next year you got to do 5 flips. It's like, what?
Exactly.
What is happening?
Awesome.
You got it, Ian?
Yeah. I mean, going off of, you're talking about you're doing all your public speaking now. What's been your favorite one? Because I'm sure you go to a lot of really cool places.
Yeah. So the first one was actually one of the best. I went to this beauty esthetician company in Utah.
Really?
140 beautiful women.
Stop it. They paid you for that? No,
yeah, right? Yeah. And shout out Jamie for getting me involved with that one. This lady who pretty much just mentored me throughout the whole public speaking process.
Is this here in Cali?
It was in Utah. Yeah. And so that was one of my favorites for sure. But been able to speak to a couple hockey teams, solar companies.
Wow.
Just kind of it all. And it's been a slow start. I've been just doing word of mouth so far and, just reaching out to my local community. But it's fun because everyone has a story, right? And everyone can relate to something. So I love my favorite part about it is the Q&A afterwards and just talking to people, learning about, what resonated with them and, what I can, maybe elaborate more on in the future. And
I was going to ask, has anybody ever come up to you and said like, oh my gosh, this really resonated with me and said something to you that stuck with you?
For sure. Family members that have been going through, spinal cord injuries or traumatic events and just how, it changes your perspective. It really, truly does about, life and just enjoying the little things, that we take for granted every day. Just being able to wiggle your toes and wake up in the morning and go for a run, and just stuff that you don't, you might be appreciative of, but you don't realize, it can be ripped away from you. But at the other side of things, just grateful to be alive. And
I always say it, and it's corny. I'm writing a book. I know that sounds corny too. Perspective, understanding, and love. But it's the other way around. It's love, perspective, and understanding and perspective. Because if you can understand what's happening and then have the good perspective, then that's the beauty of life. And if you have love to follow it or start with it, it's just like your perspective is only as what you think at that moment, right? Mm-hmm. That moment is your perspective, right? So it's like when you hang out and listen to someone's story that's a perspective that you couldn't even comprehend, then your perspective goes, oh shit, like I'm really complaining about this, like, or there's all these different moments to have the right perspective, but the only way to have perspectives is to keep going and keep going hard, no complaining, work hard, go hard, and that's when perspective becomes love, because you have purpose. And it's so to see someone going through what you're going through after you've had, that's what's so cool about your perspective, is you've already had this amazing life. When a lot of people maybe are born without being able to walk and all that stuff. You've had such an amazing career already. It's insane. Yeah. So your story is so different. Like I'm seeing you have a full life, full career, and now you're dealing with something that you can actually share with people to help them. And there's so much stuff in your story. It's really inspiring. Yeah. And it's cool to see your perspective, how happy and you enjoy your life, and it's inspiring.
Yeah, I think what you said too, it's about that love and passion and just staying present, right? Just try not to think too much about the past and the future. Like sometimes I can spiral pretty quick if I want to think about, what I was doing or what I should be doing or could be doing, and just staying present, being grateful for, man, I get to live by the beach. I get to surf. I'm back on snow. I get to relearn how to do all these things that gave my life so much joy. And also when I was face down in the snow, my first initial thought was, my life is over. I'm done. I'm not going to be able to snowboard, walk, mountain bike, dirt bike. My life's done. And so to be able to get back doing the things I love is such a blessing. I'm just stoked to be alive. And, I'm freaking next to Benji, who is one of the only surfers. Funny enough, like I didn't know that many surfers growing up, but Fuel TV was on my TV nonstop at home, and this dude was always on the TV. Like that, what was it? The drive-through. Yeah, like all just repeat. You and Donovan, repeat. Just like all the time, and just like it's crazy how the synchronicity of life, right? How we it's like full circle. Just getting back to like. I'm sitting here next to Benji literally right now. It's like, it's amazing, dude.
But that's what Jake was. Thanks. Jake always would say to me, he goes, nobody cares about what you've done. And he would always say, stop living in the past. And he would do it. And I always thought it was because he just hated me being happy. Right. Mm-hmm. Shout out to JBC. I got him right here. Yeah. And he was the greatest man to ever live. And he would tell me, and I didn't realize what he's doing. And he would always do these things to me. And I always thought it was a joke, or he was just trying to make me feel, because he would love to dig. I mean, that's what his whole thing was. But what he was telling me is nothing matters from the past. Nothing. It doesn't matter. Like you saying you saw me on full TV, that makes me feel so good. And that's the ego and all that stuff. But the whole point is what he was trying to tell me is, look, no one cares about what you did, and why should they? And that's what really stuck with me. It's like, do you care about the person that walked by you just now? Do you really care if they have enough money to eat tonight and all that stuff? And I was like, no. And he's like, well, then why should someone care about you? And I'm like, what the fuck? I hate you. Because it was so right. Yeah. It was so right, and it was so important for me to hear, because I try to make everybody happy in my life, and I'm definitely a weirdo. But I learned so much for the fact that the past, what I've done is not important. It's today, it's now, it's perspective, it's the moment, present, everything. And when you get that, and he always would say, keep moving. When you're scared, when you're stressed, when you're lazy, you don't want to work out, you keep going. And then it goes away. That goes away. But if you sit there and then you feel bad or sad for yourself, that's when all the shit starts coming in on you, right?
Yeah.
And so to see you keep going, and that's what you're doing at 3 years into one of the most tragic things that can happen is the most powerful Jake quote of all time. And that's the reason why I wake up every day going, I'm good. As long as I have Jake talking to me, and he never goes away. He's in my head every fucking day. Yes. It's like, I'm so stoked that I was a pro surfer for 28 years, but that's the past. Now it's what can we do now? And it's sitting here with you is the most important thing I could be doing. And that's the whole reason why we do these podcasts. Every time we do it, we're like, what just happened? Like, we even sat with Jagger Eaton last couple weeks ago, and what a little nugget of freaking power. And this little kid wants to do push-ups all day long. And we're just like hearing his story. His parents are gymnastics and stuff. But you being here right when George was just here, and it's not a fluke. You know, it happened for a reason, and really grateful you're here.
Thank you, brother.
And well, she's going to ask you if you like girls or something.
No, I mean, so I didn't grow up around snowboarding a ton, so my knowledge of the sport, besides what I see in Big Bear, is pretty minimal. So I would love to hear from you. Like, take me through your career too, because I know we haven't even
talked about you being a pro
we
snowboarder.
Touched on, we did childhood and you running from the cops all the time, which
so
love
good.
that for you.
Yeah.
We've gone through your injury, we've gone through what you're doing now. So like, I want to know, what was that time of your life like for you, like as a pro snowboarder?
So I was never like the best, right? I never like won a bunch of events and was like some world renowned snowboarder, but I did pretty well. I got some top 10s at, World Cups and do tour events, but it was just an amazing experience to be able to travel the world, see so much culture, go to New Zealand, which, and
these are all, you're doing slope and pipe when you're doing competing, right?
Yeah.
For everyone out there, slope is the park that goes down a mountain with giant jumps, and like, I think it's the coolest thing in snowboarding because you get rails, you get everything in one, and then the pipe, obviously. So you did both, which is kind of unheard of, really. I mean, even Shaun White couldn't hold his own beer and that shit. Like, you eventually could do one or the other. So for you to be doing both must have been kind of a lot, right?
Yeah. But it was funny because I was able to get better results in half pipe, but I love slope. Like, that's what I grew up on. So I love doing both. Slope was kind of like my home. I trained slope more, but then would just, have better results in the half pipe. But yeah, I think just experiencing all the different places. I went to South Korea for the World Snowboard Championships, and just experiencing that and eating all the crazy food over there, which was a trip. But yeah, man, what a time to be alive when snowboarding was all about, the parties and the competitions, and it was crazy. Getting sprayed in the face with fire extinguishers and just the crazy stuff that we were able to get away with was pretty wild. But that was kind of did my first professional event when I was 17, and then right around 23 is when I started getting into coaching. After the 2010 Olympic qualifiers, I got injured a little bit, and I was just kind of over it. I wasn't really making that much money. I was moving back home to Vermont for the summers, working for my dad, doing plumbing, and having the best life, skating my ramp every day, and then moved to Colorado for the winters to train, travel, and compete. And I almost just gave it up. I was like, all right, I'm going to become a plumber and work for my dad. And then, this coaching job just landed in my lap and hit the ground running, which was amazing. But it's been a little bit hard transitioning from that like work mentality. I was doing when I was coaching, I was doing excavation in the summertime too. But I was always a laborious worker, took after my dad, and just always like
excavating is with the big bulldozer
big
kind of
machines,
thing. You're moving dirt,
moving, yeah.
So you can make mean ramps, probably.
Exactly, huh? Yeah.
Our other guest was Colby Raha.
Yeah,
and he did that before he became one of the best motocross guys. So he got in. He's like, I'll just build my own shit.
Yeah,
brat.
Yeah,
and you too.
That was around my property. My dad had he was a logger, so he had all that equipment. So I built the ramps and stuff all around my property. It's funny. My dad cleared this huge plot of land, and no one knew it, but there was an amazing view of all these mountains. And some guy from, no offense, from New York was like, hey, how much you want from this property? He's like, it's not for sale. He's like, come on, I'll give you $1 million right now. My dad's, sitting there with Budweiser and a cigarette. He's like, no. He's like, what are you going to do with it? He's like, my boy wants to build a dirt bike track.
Just dopest dad ever.
Yeah, so funny.
Nah, $1 million sounds good, but I want my kid to jump in the air.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it goes to show who my pops was.
Was your pops into snowboarding, skiing, dirt biking, or was he just love to watch you do it?
Skiing for sure.
He was a skier?
Yeah, he actually made snow for a little resort down in Connecticut. Went to school for some ski area management stuff. And actually, that was probably why he bought the abandoned ski area. His dream was to own a ski resort and manage a ski resort. So fulfilled his childhood dream.
That's so sick.
But yeah, so just amazing having my mom and dad. My mom was just like, just a big supporter too. I was a shit show growing up. I would forget my boots like every day, and I would call my mom, run my boots up to the mountain, and just their love and the no pressure environment. Competing was so huge for me. It's just all about my passion and love for the sport, which kind of gets, I see a lot of crazy stuff in SoCal. There's like 10-year-olds and their parents like, you got to go bigger. Like, come on. Like going down to Poods is terrifying sometimes. It's like, are these kids having fun?
I know, right? Because your mom was very standoffish because she's so mellow and sweet.
Yeah,
she just was just watch from the side.
Watch from the side and didn't ski. She, would jump on a snowmobile every once in a while, but she was always like, always feeding the boys after the skate sessions and snowboard sessions.
Is she a good cook?
Yeah, she's a good cook.
Yeah,
the burgers, yeah. Burgers. She sent me out some cookies, and my cousins. I grew up making maple syrup. So Vermont, land of the liquid gold. So grew up in the woods tapping trees, and my cousins just actually sent me out some maple syrup. But yeah, I grew up just in the sugar houses.
That's so cool.
Just the most amazing childhood. Yeah.
And is your sis still back in Vermont, or
she's in upstate New York now?
Oh,
yep.
New Yorker.
New Yorker now, yeah. She married a hockey player.
Oh, wow. That's a New Yorker for sure.
Yeah, they got two nephews, a 5 and a 3.5-year-old. Little soon-to-be hockey players.
Oh, it's so cool.
But it's funny, they go to Grandma and Grandpa's house, and my dad's already getting like the electric little dirt bikes and all this stuff, and they just...
Your dad's coming back to life again. He's like, here we go. I got some more munchkins.
Round 2.
Yeah. Round 2. Brings back the excavator, do some ramps.
Got to build a new skateboard ramp and all this stuff. Yeah,
it's cool.
It's great.
Is it still the same house?
Same house.
Yeah, the whole time.
The ramp rotted away. It was wood.
Waker Acres. You have to have shirts, right? You got shirts
we gotta
made.
make some shirts for sure. Yeah,
that's so fun. So what's the next year? Like, we're talking about the present and the future. What's the future hold? Like, are you going to be in San Diego for a while, or you got some traveling coming up? Are you going to go home? What you got planned?
I like to go back to Vermont every once in a while, but my goal is to stay here for a little bit for sure. There's a great community is the huge thing. Is like we were talking about before, having a bunch of people in wheelchairs and to talk to hang out with is a great community. I still have my Vermont boys here and
you guys kind of took over here, and I don't like it at all. I mean, we had Taylor Carpenter taking over this town, and then he took off.
Yep. Yeah. So hang out here and travel around, get into maybe some surf competitions.
Rad. I want to help out with that, so just let me know. I've been involved for so long with that. It's almost like my second nature.
Yeah.
And I can get the board made. I mean, it's way better to have the elbow straps, where you put your elbows in. Have you done it yet?
I'd love to show you my board.
Oh, you already have it?
I got a corky, so it's wrapped in cork, and it's super grippy for my elbows. Which is sweet.
Oh, but you don't have the elbow strap thing, so you put
I have
elbows in?
one hook in the center that I wrap my arms under.
Okay.
And
like
that's kind of like my
reason why I know the strap on the corner straps like this is because when you lean, because you're obviously leaning to turn, your elbow gets in there.
You're locked in.
So like when Jesse does it, when he's in the barrel, you can lock on the rail, So if
barrel,
you want to get those straps, let me know. I could get everything for you.
Let's do it.
How big is it? 9?
It's a 7.
7.
No, 7, 8. Yeah.
7/8, small.
Damn.
That's amazing.
Mid-length action?
Yeah, he's going
let's
on a
go.
small board. And it's cork, like meaning like a wine cork.
Yeah, so it's a glass.
Super light.
Yeah, glass inner shell, but then it's wrapped in cork.
Cool.
So it's light and very buoyant. Yeah, I'm excited to work on getting, shorter boards and more. This one's great though. I can catch kind of
Cardiff Reef's a good wave too.
Yeah, I was just there last week.
Yeah, that's the spot where you'll go if you want to surf.
But yeah, that's been a pretty big learning curve too. I wasn't able to right myself, like flip myself over.
That's the thing, right? Is if you don't know how to flip right yourself, it's terrifying. That's why I've been with a couple guys where I have to follow them, and if they fall, if I'm not there, shit could go sideways.
Yeah.
And Jesse, right when Jesse got his injury, we were on the Big On. It's a place called Banyans. It's dry reef. And I'm behind him on a short, because this is when I actually surfed. My board is so thin, and he's on this giant board, and he's going towards that reef. And I'm the only guy on the wave. So it's my responsibility to stop him from going headfirst in front of crowds, dude, hundreds of people. And my board is so little, I'm trying to get the reform with him, and he's flying. And I dive in front of I'm literally like 10 yards from him being bloody on the reef, and I jump off my board in the air, and I grab his tail, and I stop him right before he hits the reef. And I was like, I'll never want to do this again. It was the worst feeling of my life, and it's always me being that guy. Like, if it was Kelly or Rob that was with us, they would have got him. It would have been no problem. But, of course, I'd fuck it up. And I was so, like, all the times, like you said, there was another time where, and the funny thing about Jesse is he always is laughing. When I get him, he's always like, ah! And I'm always like, don't laugh! Don't do that again! But, yeah, writing yourself up is, if you want to surf, that's the most important, because when you were doing it in the beginning, was it tough to get all around and stuff?
Yeah, so I had no idea I couldn't until one day there was a new pusher, and the water safety people on the beach.
Don't call me a pusher, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm a facilitator of fun.
Facilitator. So the facilitator pushed me to the wave, and the water safety people on the beach, they were just chit-chatting, and I caught this sick right, and I was so stoked. Going down the line just forever. I was up in Oceanside, and then I get towards the beach, and I just get knocked off the wave, and I'm like, oh, I'm face down, and just go and try and roll over. Nothing.
Oh, no.
I'm like, huh? Nothing. And I didn't know the proper way to, like, kind of have to scoop your hand and do a little backhand maneuver. But yeah, so the pusher actually had to swim all the way in. I was like 45 seconds face down in the water.
Fuck.
Yeah, so everyone was like, and I just went, and it was crazy because I was doing some like Wim Hof shit before, and I was just like,
calm.
I was just like, all right, just calm down. I just heard his voice and just went into this like very meditative, dreamy state, which was actually very euphoric, and it was eerie. Like, it was a trip. It almost felt like good, almost too good, and yeah, they got me up, and I was just smiling like, oh my gosh, like, are you okay? But yeah, so then I ended up learning how to right myself. Then I got this life jacket, and it was a little bit bigger up
You
there.
weren't wearing a life jacket at that time?
No, just a wetsuit.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, now you're crazy.
Well, I'm pretty buoyant.
You're pretty buoyant, but
yeah.
that's fucking nuts.
Well, I don't wear a wetsuit now because get this, I got a life jacket. I'm like, sweet, it'll help me and help me float and right myself. And it was a little bit bigger day. It was like 4 to 5 feet back up in Oceanside, and I was confident with the boys because I learned how to roll. So I'm like, yeah, we'll like get one person out there with me. Caught this big left, and I'm so hyped. Best wave I've caught since after my injury. And then again, like, get off the board, the whitewater catches up to me, throws me off, and I'm like, all right, took me under a little bit. I found my way to the surface, and then the whitewater kind of flipped me back to my stomach. And I was like, all right, you know what to do, and then I'm like, oh no.
Because the life jacket?
Life jacket.
Is it so buoyant?
So third try, and I'm like, dude, this life jacket's not going to let me flip. And my buddy, who had not done water safety yet, he was there watching. This is the homie that was Tyler, who was in the hospital with me. He was watching me like move, trying to right myself, and then all of a sudden I just went limp, and he thought I was dead. He was like, I don't want to
push
you were saying
with you anymore.
Like you were saying with Jesse, right? Just traumatized you, and he's like, dude, I'm never going out with you ever again. This sucks. I'm over it.
Oh.
Yeah.
And at Barney, we had like 10-foot waves at Huntington Beach, the U.S. It was actually like real 10-foot too. We had jet skis to help us because we went into the pier. It was nuts. And the heavy thing was, we're like, me and Mick Fanning were like, hey, we shouldn't go out. Like, this is way too big. And Taylor Knox was there too. And I'm like, this is way too big. And shout out to Dana too. Dana Bure was there. And we get out to the outside. This cleanup set comes, and we're getting smoked. And he's laughing. He's like, yeah. And he's like having the best time. And me and Mick Fanning are looking like, we're going into the pier right now. Like, this could get really bad. Oh, no. And then nothing happened. Funniest thing ever. But when you're the pusher, that's a little, I don't know if I like that still. But when you're the pusher, it's terrifying because if something goes wrong, it's all on you. Like, you're like, I just pushed him right into the pier. Like, this is ridiculous. But it always works out. It's just, there's so much pressure on the whole situation. And every time I take my friends, they're the ones laughing at me. They're like, this is so much fun. Who cares? And I'm like, God.
Oh, that's the thing. It's scary. It's terrifying, right? Getting it, not being able to swim and not being in control is that puts
like, if you go in the pool now, can you, what do you call it? Stay afloat?
Yeah, I can stay afloat.
Like, you move your arms and it'll keep you afloat without a vest or anything?
Yeah.
Okay.
As long as sometimes it gets a little, I make sure I have a deep breath in.
Yeah.
Just breathe and stuff, and then just kind of, float and stuff.
That feels good, huh?
Feels great.
Okay, it feels great.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, it's terrifying to get out in the ocean every time, and it's a process, right? Trying to get a wetsuit on, it takes 4 people wrangling my legs, and my legs are flying all over the place. And but it's one of those things where I'm always sitting on the beach like, do I want to go out? Do I want to go out? But then when I do it, and I'm freaking out the rest of the day. That was the most amazing thing ever. Like, that was like just.
It feels so
nine.
good.
Yeah.
And also, they make wetsuits too. They have zippers right here. And zippers right here. Have you seen this? We got to get you one of those.
Gotta get one of
those. It's life-changing. Like, it's so much easier. You just slide them on.
Tell the homies that. Yeah. They're like,
they usually sell them for scuba diving and stuff. For like lazy rich people.
But
yeah, it's gonna be fun, man. I can't wait to take you surfing. It's gonna be fun, and I don't surf till summer too. I'm like you,
perfect.
I'm like burr. I mean, even if there's a cloud, I'm like,
it's been freezing this winter.
That would be a dream come true if I had Benji pushing me into it.
Oh, dude, trust me, it would be
insane.
A nightmare.
We'll have some water safety people so you don't get traumatized.
Totally. But, I'll have Jay Boy with me. I'm like, Jay, where were you on that one? You're like, I wasn't even in the water. I don't know what you're talking about. No,
it was on you, Jay. It's on you.
No, it's gonna be so fun to watch this next few years, and I can't wait for George to come home and spend more time at Adapt. And I mean, the cool part is we could shred together. We'll get Georgie over here. George loves the ocean. That was the reason he moved here, and he can still surf. Just like he sit skis, but we'll do it way better. No, I'm going to get him at the ranch.
Yeah.
Let's go to the ranch. I can get you and him in there, and we're going to get shacked. We're going to get shacked.
Let's go.
I mean, Jesse was... that one, there's no safety. It's just on like Donkey Kong, right? When you're on the wave, it's on. There's a jet ski that'll pick you up right if you fall.
Come on.
It's so much fun.
Bougie surfing.
It's bougie.
Like
you get out, they have a towel and then some vegan
and a
food.
hot tub.
No, hot tub for sure.
Okay.
You can't get out of Kelly Slater's wave pool without a hot tub.
Come on.
Oh, but you got anything?
Your whole story is so inspiring, and I can't wait to see. Like, I think you have a really solid career coming up as like a motivational speaker. Your mindset is just so incredible. Like, everything you're talking about with like staying in the moment and not like thinking back to like, oh, like what if I did this differently, or like really spiraling down that way. Like, obviously I haven't been through anything even close to what you've been through, and that is so hard for me to not do. Like, focus on this one thing and be like, well, if I didn't do that one thing, all this stuff wouldn't have happened, and like my life could have been blah blah blah. But I just, how do you do that?
Well, everyone, that's the thing. You say, I haven't been through something like that, but everyone's been going through something, right? And I think that's like the biggest thing is I love when people tell me their stories, because everyone's gone through some shit, whether you can see it or not, right? This disability you can see, but there's so many people out there that are going through stuff that you can't see. And I love just connecting with people. And, as far as what I do is, I think it's okay to feel the bad stuff, right? But just try not to sit in it. And I like to, during my speeches, I like to tell people to, if you have a negative thought, focus on 3 positive things. So I feel like it's a good positivity ratio. Yeah. So, if I'm feeling down, I'll acknowledge it, be like, yep, that sucked. But what can I focus on? What can I focus on that's little affirmations or meditating, just some good mindset stuff, and having good people around you too. I talk a lot about community, and that's the whole thing about coaching is I had all these amazing athletes. I was a coach, right? I told them what to do and every once in a while, but what gave these kids true progression was that peer-to-peer camaraderie. No one's going to push your homie or push you more than your best friend telling you got this. So just having good people around you is so important. And, like I said before, appreciating like those little victories. Just, it's all about perspective and, looking back at things and being present and just enjoying where you're at now. And yeah, I think all of it combined, and it's a continuous work in progress. Our mind is such a powerful muscle. It can send you in a good direction or it can send you in a bad direction, but knowing that you're in control of your thoughts and just to focus on the good stuff in life. Yeah.
And we have to keep talking about Jake. I mean, let's get real. Yeah. Not little Jake either, big Jake.
Yeah.
He said one of his first jobs was being a dishwasher, right? And he goes, because I started a restaurant after I was a pro surfer, so I was like, he knew I needed to hear stuff, but he had even more to say that stuck with me even more. And he said, I was a dishwasher for a little while in the beginning, and he goes, I was the best fucking dishwasher. He goes, there's no one that washed dishes better than me. He's like so proud of it, right? Yeah. And I didn't take it for what it was at the moment, but then I realized what it actually meant. And like I had to work on the construction where they pave freeways and stuff for a while. Wow. And this is 5 years ago, right, when I quit serving. And quit, whatever. And I had the restaurant. I was taking care of my mom, and I needed extra money. So I started doing these roads, and I started at 7 p.m. at night, and I'd end at 4 a.m. And I'd be out there pouring in sweat with this construction gear on, and I didn't know what I was doing. They gave me a really big job too out of nowhere, and I've never had a job. I was like, what the fuck is going on? Cops would come up because they blocked the freeway and be like, hey, sir, and then call me all these things, and then the other guy would be like, what do I do? And I'm like, it's first night, something breaks, and I'm supposed to fix it. It was out of control. Yeah. But the whole time I kept hearing Jake over and over, I was the best at doing this, whatever. So now I'm into culinary. I love podcasting. I love doing stand-up comedy. I like doing things, but I want to do them with so much passion and purpose, because if you're going to do anything, it's not shitty if you care about being good at it.
Yeah.
And so like if you have a shitty job, as long as you want to be good at that job, it takes away from being bummed at that job. It takes forever that day and all those things. If you're focusing on being really good at that task, then purpose comes in, and then something greater comes out of it. So like when you want to be a dishwasher and you want to be the best dishwasher, you're going to be the manager of that restaurant in 10 years. I mean, 10 months, excuse me. It'll happen so fast if you care about every position the way bosses or people that got to the top see, and they're like, oh shit, this guy's not joking around. That goes so far. So it's like now your new purpose, you're taking it so seriously that it's going to go, and then this bigger things coming and bigger, and it's just never going to end. And that's what the whole thing I learned from Jake is, as long as you have purpose, as long as you keep going, and as long as you care about what you do in this time that we get. And that's why Jake was so great. He literally spent every day trying to do the best thing that's ever happened on this planet that day. Yeah. Right? It was like, I'm going to design the best snowboard today, and every one of the people in the world are going to know it. And then I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And every day was a challenge. It wasn't like he woke up like, I did it. Fuck, it's done. Yeah. It was always like the challenge of every day becoming a better character builder for people around him. So not to go on a tangent about Jake, but since I'm sitting in his baby's house and I got you here, and it's called Snowboard Week on Let's Poddy. Yeah. But I think that's where you're at right now, is you're living through Jake's words, and I love it.
I love that. Yeah. It's like not caring about the outcome too.
Yeah.
Is like if you just put as much your whole heart into something, like don't worry about, it's going to come. The outcome's going to come. Don't focus on, I think that's the hard thing about me with these new ventures is like, I want to be the best at this, but don't worry about it. If you just put your heart and soul into something, good things are going to come.
Exactly. Those little achievements are what you get a big one on. A lot of people that don't succeed want that given to them. In the beginning, the first day, they're like, I should have everything.
The entitlement, yeah.
Entitlement, and that's a real problem.
My boss
right now.
doesn't know what he's talking about, right?
God, right? Or that was my idea, and that's how I'm going to get in this company. I'm gonna someone's stealing my ideas and all those things. It's not about ideas or any of that. It's about hard work. It's about showing that you're the best at that thing, right? Yeah. And you're the best right now at 3 years into your dilemma, but it's not a dilemma. It's a character builder. And it's so fun to watch your character grow even more from even when you're a pro snowboarder. Yeah. And that's pretty impressive, man. It's exciting. It's exciting me because now you're my friend and you're going to be around and we're going to hang out and I'm going to make dinners for you and we're going to party.
Oh, I'm so hyped, man.
It's going to be so fun.
Hyped. Yeah, I think this injury is just, I've learned so much in these past 3 years about myself and emotions and just life in general that I did not learn 33 years before my accident. It's taught me so much about, living in friendship and community. And it's crazy because as much as an amazing life that I was living before, I feel like it wasn't, my true path. And, I think it's just it's not the easiest way to look at it, but I think it's just the healthiest way to be like, now I'm put on this earth to do something else and just like you said, keep that passion alive and just whatever you do, just love it and just give it your all.
The two things that we respect the most about humans is love and your soul. That's what we only talk about. Yeah. And that doesn't have any attachment to legs, arms, or anything. No limbs are your love and soul, right? So
I love that.
As long as you have your love and soul, it's not about if I walk or run or throw things or any of that. It's about how much love and how big is your soul of what you're doing. And I see it, and it's so fun. I'm so excited to see what's going to happen. And especially because one of my favorite people that's ever walked on this planet is going through the same thing you're going through. And I know you're going to help him. And that warms me up.
It's amazing we're going to help each other. Like,
no, totally.
Just watching him progress.
It's going to be dope. Taking both you guys surfing. It's going to be sick. We can have the raddest days at the beach, chill, cooler. I'll make smoked ahi dip. We're freaking, I want to get him out here bronzing because Denver has the best hospital in the world, but they don't got the, they do have a lot of sun. But come on, we're in SoCal. Let's go.
I feel like you burn a lot more in Colorado. It's
closer to the sun.
Closer to the sun. No bronzing there. You just get fried.
Love it. Is there anything else? I mean, best
thank you
podcast
so much
ever.
For coming on the podcast. Yeah. I feel like I've learned so much from you in this hour and 15.
Come on.
No, it's been so valuable.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you guys are amazing.
I can't wait to see your TED Talk because I know that's coming.
Oh.
And I'm going to get so many people on this podcast that are going to be inspired by you. Obviously, Luke. I can't wait to talk to him about you. I didn't know you were his coach. That's like, of course you are. It's so sick. He doesn't even know. Luke doesn't know that you're here. So it's going to be so fun to talk to him about you. It's so cool. And such a good kid. He's such a good kid. He's a good skateboarder too, huh?
Yeah, good skateboarder.
He's good at everything.
Yep. And just fellow East Coaster. Got the East Coast vibes.
North Carolina. Is there snow in North Carolina?
Dude, not really.
What?
But something that, you can maybe talk about this with him, but I think something that helped his snowboarding out so much is they have these dry slopes out there, which is a trip to snowboard on.
What the fuck is a dry slope? You got to tell me.
Like AstroTurf. It's like turf. Yeah.
You just go on green grass
just
kind of thing?
Kind of grass, yeah. Like
if you fall, it probably burns the hell out of you.
Burns the crap out of you, but I think it gave him some great fundamentals.
That's why he's a part, what do you call it, jibber, right? Is that what you call him?
Well,
jibber?
He's slope style guy.
Oh, I didn't know he was slope. I thought he was rails and stuff.
Dude, he is rails, but he's does both, which is amazing.
I gotta watch him
and win and make finals at a World Cup slopestyle event, and then he'll go win a street contest. So it's amazing to see him just progress, and it's kind of like that pipe and slope thing for me. He's killing at both worlds, and he's putting out film parts that are next level. And
it's like when you're telling about all the disciplines that they choose and they find their alley, their spot, and he's telling his parents, I'm just going to do urban, street, whatever. And they're like, no, you're going to the Olympics. Like, what? Yeah. And you're like, no, actually Winkleman means rails. Let's go. But he did.
He can do both.
Whatever movie, I hate to say it, the Burton one, when they just had all the rail things they just released, and it's him and his girlfriend, and wow, I do not like that kind of snowboarding at all. I'll interview them and say it's cool, but no thanks.
Yeah.
Every time I've ever been near one of those little boxes and stuff, I get hurt. It's so sketchy.
Yeah, Winkleman's the man.
Did you like rails?
Oh yeah, yeah. My
Love
dad.
that stuff?
My dad taught me how to weld. So I was making my own rails in the backyard, and yeah, just I loved rails for sure. Actually, not towards the end of my career when I was coaching and stuff. I backed off.
Back off.
I mean, a little bit, but I would always. They always called me the stunt coach. So they would be like, "Yo, Waker's the stunt coach. You want to learn how to do a trick? Just ask him how to do that." And I'd be like, "All right, I'll just send it." All right, I just
Oh, you had to do it still?
I learned a double cork after I retired from competing snowboarding and started coaching. I was like, a bunch of kids were chucking one day. It was spring riding, and I was like, all right, I might as well
Explain it to her because she doesn't know what that is. A double cork in the pipe?
Well, which is no.
Okay, you're talking slope
style. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, I was terrified of doing the pipe. Way smaller margin of error.
gnarly.
Yeah, but double cork is just multiple flips and multiple spins at the same time, flying through the air.
That's 2 road 360s and 2 road
To get kind of off access
at the same time.
Which now it's
so
nothing.
sick.
They're doing quadruple corks and
Really?
yeah, it's crazy.
Forget it.
It's wild.
Quadruple.
Quads.
That's so creepy.
Yep. But yeah, it's cool to see people throwing style back into it, and so yeah, it's
Hey,
good times.
love it. Well, hey, I can't thank you enough for coming on, and we're gonna have this again. I think next season or the season after, whenever they go. I don't even know how long our seasons are, a few hours or something. But yeah, we'll bring you back in and we'll talk about more of the surf stuff that we're going to go through, because we're going to probably go on a surf trip, I would think, because I want George to move back, and then we should go down to Cabo or something. It wouldn't be the worst thing to be warm. Screw that wetsuit thing,
Well, I feel that.
right? And yeah,
Thank you so much for having me, brother.
I'm so happy you came on, and I can't wait to see the rest of this. And tell your mom I'm coming for her. It sounds like she needs to hang out and laugh with me and stuff, and she could be my designated driver.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
And I want to freaking drink Budweiser with Pops. What's Dad's name and Mom's name?
Oh, Tim and Sue.
Tim and Sue.
Melissa's
your sister.
Yep.
Gosh, your guys' family seems pretty insane, and that's probably helped a lot, right?
Yeah, it has.
Has your sister been by your side, and she's amazing? She's probably looks like you.
Yep.
You guys are similar.
Yep, for sure. Yeah.
Cool. Shout out to Sis.
Shout out to
Don't
Sis.
screw it up.
Love
I know
you,
your
Lisa.
kids are probably going to be punching people in the face with hockey masks, but
Oh yeah, she describes every day as categories of hurricanes. She's like, today was a category 5, catastrophic. I went up to go to the bathroom and they're writing on the walls and all this stuff. But yeah, the little munchkins are crazy. Yeah, I love it. Hopefully they're going to be out here this summer. So
oh, that'd be cool.
we'll have to all get together.
I want to
and-
see the Rat Pack with Melissa.
So good.
That's cool. Well, hey, have a good rest of your year, and I'll see you soon. But you guys aren't going to see him for a minute. And shout out to Chris and everyone else. Annie, cheers. Peace.
That's Poddy.
Thanks for pottying.
Thanks for pottying.
Thanks for pottying.